Welcome to Whippoorwill Holler. I'm Miss Lori and this is Mr. Brown. We live in the hills of Arkansas. We love the Lord. Keepers of the old way, but accept some of the new. We love to cook and we love to eat. We love to garden. It's in our blood. It's how we stay sustainable and fill our pantry. We do a lot of canning and preserving. We live a sustainable life. We love our family. We work hard. And every once in a while, we like to dance. So y'all join us. So everything that has to do with our pantry, we love to make it as convenient and healthy as we can. And I started out this channel. I am a homestead, but my main goal was to teach cooking, recipes, canning, gardening, any kind of preserving, anything that has to do with the homestead and has to do with your pantry items and what it, some of them aren't necessary, but some of it we just love to have on hand, like I said, for convenience. And a lot of us, when we start in cooking, you can have all these different spices and herbs and ingredients. And I want to apologize for the flies. They're horrible, y'all. I don't know if y'all are having trouble with them, but we are. But sometimes, instead of grabbing 5 or 6 different spices or herbs, you want something like you would buy at the store, a seasoning, for an all-purpose seasoning for either a Bbq Rub or a chili seasoning, or to make ranch dressing, or fried rice seasoning, and just different things like that. You want it all combined, ready to go, but you want control of it, so you want to make your own seasonings. And I do have a playlist that I started back when I started my channel of several dry mixes, and I'll put that link below down in my information box down below the video, and I'll have these recipes right here down there too. So if you get to looking for my information recipes, they're always down below the video, down below the title of the video. Now I think on maybe tablets or something, I'm not sure, it might be to the side right here, and a lot of times it'll say more, and you click on more and my information will come down. Now we took down my website because I didn't have time to work on it, so but I have somebody really brilliant and so talented and so honest that's working on my website. It's going to be a little while before it's up and running, but I know she's going to do a beautiful job. And when it is up, it will have my recipes. It's just going to have all kinds of beautiful things on there, and I'll let y'all know when it's up and going. We took the old one down because I just had no time for it, and I apologize for that, y'all, but I will have another one up and going pretty soon. But I want to make some more seasoning because I'm out of some, and I thought, well, I'm just going to bring y'all along. And the first one's going to be a Bbq Rub seasoning blend. And you can use this on anything. You can use it on chicken, pork, anything that you might want to stick in your smoker or in your oven or whatever, in your slow cooker. This is a really good one too. I'm going to start by mixing my ingredients in a bowl right here because it's just easier for me. And I've got my little pestle and mortar here for, I've had to do some blending with it, and I may even use it some more to do some more blending. These things are so handy, and I've got 4 of these. They're all different sizes. I've got a big one that is granite, and then I've got one that's marble, and I've got 2 that's wooden. This one was given to me, and they are so handy when you're doing something like this. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to mention to y'all, when I make my seasoning mixes to put in the pantry, I want to put them up. Now y'all can use any kind of jars. Don't go out and buy y'all some jars, because that's kind of defeating the purpose of maybe wanting to save money. Just find any old jars. I keep jars all the time. For instance, like these, this was a raspberry preserves. I keep these jars. I get a lot of preserves and stuff like that as gifts, and just little bitty jars. It's got a good lid on it. The Dollar Tree has really neat little jars with good lids on it. Get you some cheap little labels there. Maybe somebody you know's got jars, but don't go out and spend a bunch of money on jars. These right here are jars that I've used forever for putting my seasonings and herbs in. So I've always used them for that. But I just use anything. I think these little jars right here, this is basil, ground basil that I grew in my garden, and I ground it all up pretty good in my grinder. And this was just a little jar. I think I got it at the Dollar Tree a long time ago. So you just do what works for you. You can even put them in little Ziploc bags, the little snack bags, and that saves a lot of room. You can put them in little snack bags and find you a little box or container just to put them in like this. Mark them, of course, of what's in that bag, and that's a good way to do it. Now on this one, this is a Bbq Rub. Let's see. This recipe comes from Foodology Geek, and this is a really good one. I've already used this recipe, so it's a really good one. Bbq Rub seasoning blend. Now, you can double and triple this recipe. The ingredients that I'm going to give you is probably the amount I'm giving you is going to be a one-time rub. So you might want to double and triple this one, or just make it up and put it in a baggie and just, you know, when you know you're going to have barbecue, you can use it. But we're going to use a half a cup of brown sugar. Now you can use she says you can use coconut sugar or any kind of sugar substitute that you might use. I'm going to use a half a cup of brown sugar. And let's see. And this sounds like a lot of salt, and you can cut back on the salt. And that's another good thing about making your own seasoning, is cutting back on that salt, because a lot of seasoning that you buy in the store has a lot of salt in it. This calls for 1/3 of a cup of salt, and I'm not going to put that much. Now, we're going to talk about the salt in this Bbq Rub. You can use a kosher salt. You can use sea salt. That's what I got here, is sea salt. But what I've also got in my pantry is I've got some smoked sea salt that I bought at the Mennonite store. Whoops. And that's what I'm going to use. It's not something you have to use. Just use plain salt. But because I've got it, and this is the reason that I bought it, it is smoked sea salt. It says natural hickory smoked sea salt. That's what it says. Now you can go online and probably find this. Different places like that. Probably Amazon. Go to your Mennonite store. I'm going to give you a couple of names. Mountain Rose Herbs, World Spice Merchants, and Penzi Spice Merchants are good places to order in bulk to get your spices and dried herbs. And I will put them down below in my information box too. And I had them right here too, if you caught it. So, this is smoked salt, and it says 1/3 of a cup of kosher salt. And I'm just thinking there, I'm thinking that I'm going to cut back probably to 1/4 a cup of smoked sea salt. And I will put that option, when I put the recipe down, I'll put that option down for y'all. So you'll kind of know the difference in what you can kind of sub with it. I do salt a lot of this meat that I smoke sometimes, that Danny smokes out. We do kind of salt it and brine it, so I don't really want a lot of salt in this. But the smokiness in the smoked sea salt is going to give it just that much more flavor. So I'll put the original salt amount down, then I'll put what I put in there. Then we need a fourth of a cup, let's see, a fourth of a cup of smoked paprika. Now there's a lot of people that don't use smoked paprika, and they always want to know if they can use sweet. Yes, use whatever you got. It'll have a little bit of a, instead of a smoky taste, it'll have a little bit of a sweet taste to it. But you know what? I bet it's good either way. So, you know, it's so much fun making these dry mixes. I almost think sometimes I'd just like to make dry mixes and sell them. But you know, that's just a whole nother ball game. So that's my smoked paprika, a fourth of a cup. Now, like I say, you can double and triple this. Fourth of a cup, then a fourth of a cup of chili powder, and use whatever brand chili powder that you like and that you use. This is a dark chili powder. I need a tablespoon of my garlic. Now I use granulated garlic instead of garlic powder. It's been years ago that I come across granulated garlic, and that's what I got, and ever since then that's what I buy, because I like it better. I like the way it tastes. I don't know, there's just something about granulated that I like better. That's just my opinion though. 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, and a tablespoon of dry mustard. Let's see, I've got ground mustard right here in my raspberry preserve jar. I need to get them labels off. I just haven't tried hard enough. 1 tablespoon of ground mustard. 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. Right here is what's left of what I've got ground up, worked up. I've got a bunch of oregano that I've got dried and in a vacuum seal bag put up. But this is what I've got left in a jar from the garden. This is what I grew in the garden. So I need 2 teaspoons. You know, keeping your dried herbs in vacuum sealed bags are really good. It keeps them good and fresh. I mean, after they're dried is what I'm saying. Don't put them in there fresh. After they're dried, you put them in there. They'll stay good for a long time. Okay. 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. 2 teaspoons of cumin. You know, cumin is one of my favorite spices. I've heard a lot of people say I just don't like it. I just can't be without it, y'all. I love it. 2 teaspoons of dried cumin. I keep the seeds and the powder. Let's see, 3/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Now, the rest of the recipe says a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and I'll put that in the recipe. I don't care for cayenne pepper. I'm just a little bit allergic to some of that pepper, like red pepper flakes. I mean, it will break my mouth out. So I have to be really careful with stuff like that. So yes, a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And that's pretty much it. Now, you can put this, if you have a spice blender or if you have a little mixer, and put that in there to make sure that you get all your little spices and herbs all mixed up in there, and they're just, you know, when you buy them in the store and you open that packet up, you know how powdery they are, and there's no big clumps in there most of the time. So if that's what you want to make sure, then yes, by all means, use your. I've got a coffee grinder an old coffee grinder that I use to grind my herbs, my spices and stuff up in. Especially my herbs that I grow out in the garden. And sometimes I want to grind them up really, really fine. And I'll put them in that coffee grinder. This smells so good, y'all. This is going to be really good on chicken, a pork butt, on anything that you're smoking, maybe out in the smoker, ribs. Now, there's one ingredient that I'm going to put in here, and it's going to be an optional, just like your cayenne pepper. And I'm going to put a tablespoon of ground coffee. There's just one ingredient that I think gives anything that's smoked or barbecue a really good taste. And if you go to my dry mix playlist that I'll put below, my chili seasoning has coffee in it too. It's ground coffee. So just mix it up really good, and then we'll put it in the jar. That's not the jar I want. Now I want to show y'all something, and this is something you could put in it too besides cayenne pepper. This is green chili powder. If I can get it open. I'm having a hard time opening my jars. Mr. Brown, can you open that? It's pretty tight.
Pretty tight.
I'm going to make sure I'm telling you. Yeah, it's green chili powder. And I bought this a while back off of Amazon. This is your green chilies, like you buy in the little 4-ounce can that I use all the time in my chilies and taco soup and a lot of things. And this is dehydrated and then made into powder. I'm going to put a teaspoon of it in here too. I think it'll be good in our barbecue rub instead of the cayenne pepper, because we can take the green chilies better than we can the cayenne pepper or the red pepper flakes. You want to smell this? Mr. Brown's come in, and I'm glad you were here to open that jar for me.
I wouldn't know how your hands are giving you troubles.
Does that smell like good barbecue rub you might put on something you're smoking?
Yep, it does to me.
Did you sniff it up your nose?
No. Wouldn't be hard in my big nose to sniff it up.
Is it still raining outside?
Yes.
Hard or just enough to aggravate?
Just light.
Okay, I'm going to put this in a pint jar. And if you doubled this recipe, it would still fit in a pint jar, I'm pretty sure. Now, well, I don't know. This is filling a pint jar up pretty good, isn't it? So you might, if you doubled it, you'd have to use something more than a pint jar. I don't ever double it. But most of the time, this usually gets me through at least 2 barbecues or something smoked, like a pork butt or chickens or something like that. So I'm going to get me a lid. Now, before you always use your homemade seasonings, always shake them up before you use them. Get all of them mixed up there before you use it. And just put I'm going to put barbecue rubs, what I'm going to put on mine, put the date, which I'll use it before. It's usually about 6 months when you've got a good lid on it. So that's our barbecue seasoning. So I think the next one we're going to do is meatloaf. Some of y'all have asked me about meatloaf seasoning, so we'll do that. Okay, our next seasoning is meatloaf seasoning. I've had a lot of requests for this. This one comes from chefjar.com. This is a really good one because there's not a lot in it, but it's just enough, more or less what you would put in your meatloaf. You know, if you were just doing it and taking all your ingredients and putting it in there. I think I'm going to times this times 2 though. I don't really want to do no more than that because we eat meatloaf probably once every 2 months or something. So I think just timesing it times 2 will be plenty. And I'm going to go ahead and just put it in this jar because I really don't have anything right now. I could put it in a little baggie, but we're going to go with the jar. So we're going to need 2 teaspoons of paprika. And I'll be using the smoked paprika, of course, because that's what I've got. Regular paprika, smoked paprika. There is a Spanish sweet paprika some people use. So I'm going to put 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder or granules. Now the main thing about making up these dry mixes is you don't want any moisture to get into them. So you need to really make sure that they're in a good dry, make sure your jars are dry and that no moisture gets in there to them. So that's 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. We need 2 teaspoons of onion powder. More or less. 4 teaspoons of ground mustard. That makes that meatloaf taste really, really good. Okay, we need 3 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And right here, I've got to tell you, it says oregano on my little crock, but actually I mix up basil and oregano and a little bit of thyme and rosemary, and all of that's out of my garden, and I've got it mixed up in here, so it's not just oregano. So I need 3 teaspoons. And 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to use sea salt. And we're going to mix that up. Now if you want to do this in big bulk, by all means, triple it, do it, you know, 4 times or whatever. But like I said, we only have meatloaves probably once every 2 months. And this is usually shelf stable about 6 months before maybe it starts to clump up, or depends on what you got, what's in your mixture. And it smells really good. I think that dry mustard is a secret ingredient to making that meatloaf taste really, really good. And of course, onion powder and garlic. Now, what you'll do is, this is a double recipe, so you'll put, let me see what this measures out to. There's not going to be quite a cup there. So you're going to use 1/4 of a cup to 2 pounds of hamburger meat. That's what that is, because this is about half a cup what that made. They don't seem like a lot. In fact, I think I'm going to put this in a little plastic bag and put Meatloaf seasoning on it instead of wasting a jar on it. But that's just all that I wanted to make for today. So there is our Meatloaf seasoning. Okay, this is what I'm going to do with my little baggies. These are little snack baggies. I'm going to put Meatloaf, 1/4 a cup. That's what I'm going to put in each one of these little bags. I'm going to put 2 pounds of meat. And I'll know that that seasoning in there is for 2 pounds of ground beef. And that there's 1/4 cup in each one of these. So that's how I'm going to do that. You know, if I had a big family at home, I'd be doing this all different, and I would be making it in big bulk. But as you see me doing these recipes, you can quadruple it all you want. So there's our seasoning packet for a meatloaf. 2 pounds of ground beef. And this is a good way to do your seasoning packets, especially if you don't have a bunch of jars and you don't have a bunch of room to do it this way. And just stack them in, you know, a box or you know, some kind of container that you can put them in there and find them when you need them. Now our next one is something that I'm in need of, because we eat spaghetti and lasagna and stuff like that, and I'm always in need for Italian sausage seasoning, because I do keep ground pork when I'm making spaghetti or anything like that, lasagna. I like to mix a little beef and a little pork together. So we're going to be making, let's see, I want to see if I need to double. I haven't done this one in a while. Yeah, I'm going to try to triple this one, because I'll use this one faster than the other ones. So we're going to need 246 teaspoons of parsley. I'm going to get my parsley. Two, 4, 6 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And we need probably 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of black pepper. I think I'll do 2.5. And 1.5 teaspoons of fennel. Now fennel is something that a lot of people don't have in their spices, but I keep fennel because of making Italian sausage, and I do use it in my spaghetti sauce too. So I need 1.5. That's 2. I like fennel. 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. Paprika gives spaghetti sauce such a good taste. This is smoked. If I had sweet, that's probably what I'd use, so you can use either. 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. So with me tripling it, that would be 3 teaspoons, but I can't use red pepper flakes. 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to cut back on the salt because that would be 6 teaspoons of salt. That's a lot. And like I always say, you can always add to it, but you can't take away, so I'm going to do 3 teaspoons of salt. 1 tablespoon of garlic. Let's see. I'm just thinking that 3 tablespoons seems like a lot of garlic. I'm gonna put a tablespoon and a half of garlic, and I'll write that down in the recipe of what I used because I'm tripling it, but that just seems like a lot of garlic to me. Let's see. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of onion powder. And that's it. And that is the seasoning blend to make you some Italian sausage when you're wanting to make spaghetti, lasagna, anything like that. Just to even put into your spaghetti sauce if you wanted to. But this is a really good blend. And because those are fennel seeds, which I use all the time, you can go ahead and put this in your blender if you don't want the seeds in there. But they cook up really good. So you would put, let's see, to 2 pounds of your meat, you would put, let me see what this measures out to exactly. And a lot of times if you put all this in the coffee grinder or whatever you're using to grind it up, it does mix it up a lot better. So to 2 pounds of meat, whether if it's ground pork or beef or a little bit of both, you would put about 2.5 tablespoons, and I could put that in a little baggie too, but I'm not going to make no more than this because I won't use it very fast, so it's not something that I really need to make a whole big jar of, because it'll sit up there in the pantry for a while before I use it. You can even use the amount that you choose to use. Some people like a little bit spicier. You can go ahead and put you a little bit of red pepper flakes in here too, if you like that taste. We just can't handle the red pepper flakes. So to 2 pounds, and I'll write this down, to 2 pounds of your meat, you would use about 2.5 so of the seasoning. And it smells so good. It makes really, really good Italian sausage. So we'll put a lid, we'll write that down. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in my jar. I may find me another smaller jar here in a little bit to put it in. I'm going to go ahead and put Italian sausage seasoning and the date. So I'm real excited to get at least this much in the pantry. It's just me and Danny, so it's not something that we have to make big bulks of and then it end up, you know, being in the pantry too long. I would rather make it up and use it and it be good and fresh. I mean, I know, whoop, pop. I know that this will do 3. This will make me like, I can make 2, 4, 6 pounds of Italian sausage out of this. And I need to write down too, 2.5 teaspoons is what I'll write down. Or tablespoons, sorry. 2.5 tablespoons is what I'll use each time. So we got our Italian, we've got our meatloaf, our barbecue. It all sounds good. Now, I know a lot of y'all are like me and you like making enchiladas. A lot of y'all buy the enchilada sauce in the can. I've done it before too. I also just make it homemade in a skillet. We don't have enchiladas like we used to when the kids were here, but sometimes I'll make them when all the kids are going to be here. I haven't made enchiladas in a while though. So I'm going to make an enchilada seasoning that when I do want to make me some enchilada sauce, I can grab that jar or that little package and put all my seasonings in there at once and make me some enchilada sauce. So let's see. This is, you would add 1/3 cup to 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm sorry. You would add 1/3 cup to 2 cups of liquid. I'm still going by pounds here. You would add 1/3 cup of this mixture to 2 cups of either beef broth, water, tomato juice, whatever you're making your enchilada sauce out of. And a lot of y'all make it in different ways. And it's all good, isn't it? I'm just going to make one recipe. And this recipe will be down there in the description box, and you can double and triple this, but I'm just going to do one recipe since I don't make a lot of enchiladas anymore. I'd like to do a video doing enchiladas for 2. A lot of y'all like the recipes cooking for 2, so I could probably use part of this seasoning for that. So we're going to use 3 teaspoons of black pepper. I don't know why the flies got so bad around here, y'all, but we've had some days of warm weather. And if the door is left open, or I don't know, they will come in like a vengeance, and they're really, I don't know, like they're mad right now or something, I don't know. Okay, 3 teaspoons of oregano. And I've got a little bit of my homegrown oregano right here, which looks like, okay, it says 3 teaspoons, yes. 3 teaspoons. And if it's not exactly, you know, it's no big deal, y'all. 1 tablespoon of salt. Yikes. I think I'm going to cut back on that. I'm going to do probably 2 teaspoons. That scares me, y'all, because I'm trying to cut back on the salt. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon. I can always put more salt in it. 1 tablespoon of onion powder. Now, I will put a whole tablespoon of that in there. 1 tablespoon of onion powder. Now, this calls for 1/4 cup of garlic powder or granules. Fourth of a cup. I need 1/4 of a cup of cumin, one of my favorite spices. Whoop! That was a little bit more, that's okay. Now, this calls for a whole cup of chili powder. So use your favorite chili powder, whichever that is. A whole cup. That's probably what I've got left in here. I don't even have that much. So, I'm out of chili powder. That's okay. That's what I'm putting in there, what I've got. A whole cup of chili powder. I'll have to put that on my list. But I'm also going to put, and this is optional, I'm going to put a teaspoon of my green chili powder that I got from Amazon. And if I find it, I'll put it down there in my Amazon store. So this should make up for the chili powder all that I didn't have there. And it also asks for a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, so that's optional too. Now what we got to have is a 1/2 cup of your beef powder granules. If they're not powdery enough for you, put them in your blender or your coffee blender. So that's 1/2 cup of beef granules. Now, I have found some, and I'm fixing to sneeze, all this pepper. I have found some organic and some that have no MSG in them. And you can find them on Amazon. You can also go to these this place that I'll put down below, the Mountain Rose. Let's see, where's it at? Mountain Rose. Anyways, there's a couple different places, and I will put them down below so you'll know. Let me see if I've got it right here. Oh, that pepper's tearing me up. Yeah, Mountain Rose Herbs, World Spice Merchants, Penzi Spice Merchants. I will put them below. So we got our 3 teaspoons of black pepper, 3 teaspoons of oregano. I put 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1/4 cup of garlic powder, a 1/2 cup of beef granules, a 1/3 cup of cumin, or a 1/4 cup, excuse me, and 1 cup of chili powder. And I put a teaspoon of green chili powder, and optional is a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And I'm going to put this, let's see, I'm going to put this in a jar. You can see that that does make quite a bit. And you'll use a 1/3 cup of this enchilada seasoning to 2 cups of your liquid. I'll make sure I write that down with the recipe. You can use beef broth, which you got beef granules in here. You can even do chicken granules if you wanted to instead of beef. You could do your vegetable granules powder. You could use half and half, whichever. I prefer the beef because I like the taste of it better. Now, usually I'll mix this up in my blender, something like this that's got this much in it. But I just didn't want to get that out and start it up and turn it off and start it up here on camera. So we're going to do the best we can do with just stirring it up. And like I say, anytime before you use it, you need to just shake it around and get it mixed up really, really good. And I'm thinking this is going to be more than a pint, so I may have to get a quart jar. Well, I hope these seasonings have been inspirational for you. We've got our barbecue rub here. I just put barbecue seasoning on it. It's what I put on the top because I'll just use whatever amounts needed. You can double, triple, whatever you want to. I just made the amount that I know that I'll use up quicker. This is my Italian sausage seasoning for when I want to make Italian sausage. It don't look like much in there, but you're only going to use 2.5 tablespoons to 2 pounds of meat. And this will get me through 3 times of making about 6 pounds of Italian sausage for either lasagna or spaghetti or any kind of Italian dish. But you can always make more. Make your big bulk of it, especially if you've got a big family. And this is my enchilada, which it takes 1/3 of a cup to 2 cups of liquid. And that's what I put on top is how much it would take to make my enchilada sauce. And then I've got my meatloaf seasoning in little packs just like this, and I've got on there exactly what they are and how much to use per 2 pounds of meat. So that's just to add to the rest of my dry mixes in my pantry. And if you'll go down below, I'll put that playlist down there that's got a lot more of my dry mixes in there, and there'll be more to come too. You know, I love to share stuff with y'all, so I wanted to share something with you. I love Italian food, and I love Italian herbs and ingredients. But anyways, I went online to a place. It's called Italian Food Online. That's what it's called. And I'll put it down below in my description box, and I'll also put it up here, so you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's got these cute little sets of little canisters, and little spices and herbs come in them, and they're just really sweet. And there's all kinds of different herbs and spices. You can either get the kit or you can order the ones you want. The ones I ordered this time, this right here, and I cannot pronounce it, but on the front of it will be the Italian word for nutmeg. And it's just a little, and it has the nutmeg in there they send to you. This one is sage, and this sage smells wonderful. It has such a, it's a wonderful, I mean, I grow garden sage in my garden, and this right here for some reason just has such a strong, really beautiful sage smell to it. This right here is, I cannot pronounce this, but this is a bunch of different herbs that they put in this little crock, and it's for putting on roasted meats like pork roast, a beef roast, even if you're roasting a chicken or something. So that's what's in this little crock, and it smells wonderful. Let's see, this one here is oregano, of course, and I've done been into this. So it's just a little, they send you a little crock of oregano. This one here is thyme, and I grow thyme in my garden, so I thought that's a sweet little crock. And they send you some beautiful smelling thyme out of here from Italy. And I also use a lot of olive oil. Now this is extra virgin olive oil. I haven't opened this one yet. I absolutely love the container it comes in. It is ceramic. It's what it feels like to me. And it's got the extra virgin olive oil in it. It really, the cost of it wasn't too bad. And I'm about out of my olive oil from Olive Tap, which is who I use all the time. I absolutely love their olive oil. And they've got vinegars and balsamic vinegars and stuff that are delicious. But I just wanted to try this. But anyways, I just love all the little containers and all the herbs and spices. And like I said, there's different ones that you can order. And it's Italian food online. I just want to share that with you. So I hope y'all liked this video, and there'll be more. I know it's been a while since I've done any dry mixes. Sometimes I do forget, and then when I run out of something, I think, you know, I need to go ahead and make a video. But there'll be more. If there's some that you don't find in my playlist or I haven't done yet, and I just haven't thought of it, and or haven't I haven't even done it myself and put it in my own pantry, let me know. I know there's some more that I have wrote down on my list that I'd like to try. So we'll be back in a few days. Don't know what we'll be doing. I'm sure it's going to be a recipe. Y'all watch for Mr. Brown. He'll have something coming up soon this week, and it's probably pretty interesting. So we'll see y'all. God bless everybody. Fill your pantries. God bless.